She entered the arena quietly, almost timidly, a simple woman with no flashy attire, no crowd cheering her on, and no reputation preceding her. Samantha Grey wasn't what one would expect at a national-level dart tournament. There were no sponsor, logos on her clothes, no polished gear, and certainly no aura of competitiveness that so many of the others wore like armor. Just faded jeans, a thrifted hoodie, and a small duffel bag containing a battered old dart set that looked like it had seen more losses than wins. People barely noticed her at first, but those who did offered little more than smirks or confused glances. "Is she someone's assistant?" someone whispered. "Maybe she's here to clean the boards?" another joked. Laughter followed her as she made her way to the registration table. Even the officials were surprised. "You're competing?" one asked, not even hiding the disbelief in his tone. Samantha nodded calmly, her eyes fixed and unwavering. As her name appeared on the digital bracket, whispers began to spread. Some found it amusing, others dismissive. She was slated to face Rick the Blade Mercer in the first round, a former regional champion with a reputation for demolishing unprepared players. With ruthless precision, he saw her and laughed. "Didn't know this was Bring Your Daughter to Work Day," he said loudly, drawing laughs from the crowd. But Samantha didn't flinch. She walked to her designated booth and began warming up, quietly practicing her throws. No grand gestures, no deep breathing routines, just silent focus like a soldier preparing for battle in her own way. Every dart she threw hit the board with confidence. Not all were perfect, but there was rhythm, consistency, and something in her stance that suggested she didn't come here to be a joke. When the match began, the atmosphere was lighthearted. Most in the audience were sure this would be a quick defeat. Rick played to the crowd, throwing his darts with flamboyance, even winking at the front row after a double 18. He strutted back from the line with exaggerated swagger. Samantha stepped up without theatrics. She held the first dart loosely between her fingers, took one breath, and launched it. Triple 20. The crowd quieted. She released the second. Another triple 20. Now silence began to settle. She threw the third. The same mark. Triple 20. A perfect 180. There was an audible gasp. People sat up. Phones were raised. Rick blinked, caught off guard. No one laughed now. As the match continued, Samantha remained stone-faced, her throws a series of calculated deadly arcs. Every movement was practiced, every shot consistent. She wasn't just good, she was flawless. Rick, rattled by her accuracy, started missing shots. His confidence eroded with each turn. By the fourth round, Samantha had executed a perfect 9-dart finish, the kind of performance legends were made of. The crowd erupted. Chants of "Grey, Grey, Grey" filled the hall. Samantha didn't smile. She simply stepped back and allowed Rick his final turn, knowing the match was already hers. He threw, missed the target completely on his last dart, and turned away in disbelief. After the match, reporters swarmed. "Who is she? Where did she come from?" Even the commentators, stunned, struggled to provide backstory, but Samantha avoided the limelight, slipping away to a quiet corner with her duffel bag. That night, however, social media did what social media does, uncovering bits and pieces of her past. Samantha Grey, once a youth darts prodigy, had disappeared from the public eye over a decade ago after a tragic car accident took her father's life. He had been her coach, her mentor, her everything. She had quit the sport immediately and never returned. That is, until now. Why? Because her mother had recently been diagnosed with a rare illness. The prize money for the tournament could cover the full cost of a revolutionary treatment, not covered by insurance. With nothing left to lose, Samantha picked up her old darts again, trained in silence, and came to fight, not for glory but for survival. By the finals, she was no longer the underdog. She had taken down multiple top-seeded players with her precise, composed throws. The crowd now stood in silence every time she approached the line. There was reverence in the air. When she won the final round with another brilliant performance, the entire hall gave her a standing ovation. At the award ceremony, when given the chance to speak, she said simply, "I didn't come here to win. I came here because I had no other choice." Sometimes life forces you to remember who you used to be, so you can become who you need to be. The video of her speech went viral. Millions watched it. Sponsors reached out. Medical institutions offered assistance for her mother. She had inspired a nation. Rick Mercer, once the reigning alpha of the sport, was asked about her. He said, "Samantha Grey walked in alone and left a legend. I mocked her, but she played like she had something greater to prove. She did, and I'll never underestimate anyone again." Samantha didn't return the following year. She didn't need to. Her story had already become part of darting history. An unknown woman who walked into a storm of mockery and left behind echoes of greatness, reminding the world that champions can rise from the most unexpected places. In the months that followed, Samantha used her winnings not just for her mother's treatment, which proved successful, but also to open a small dart training academy in her hometown. She named it after her father, Grey's aim. There she began training young girls and boys, especially those from underprivileged backgrounds, instilling not just skill, but confidence and perseverance. She became a mentor, quietly shaping futures without needing the spotlight. Samantha's story was picked up by documentary filmmakers, winning awards and airing on major networks. She was invited to speak at schools, conferences, and even international women's summits. She always carried the same battered dart set, a symbol of her journey, and reminded listeners, "It's not the flash that wins the game, it's the fire inside." And so, the simple woman who was mocked at the dart tournament left behind more than just a perfect score. She left behind a legacy of heart, resilience, and the undeniable truth that greatness often comes wrapped in simplicity.